Well, I think it's important to really to know why I went down the direction that I went down into darkness and all that. I think it's important to know some about kind of how I grew up. I'm not going to go into all the details, but some things happened in my life at a very young age that gave me a cognitive filter, a lens through which I saw the men in my life as people who would reject me, who didn't want me around, that I was never good enough for them, that I wouldn't be accepted by them. And but the women in my life, my mother, my grandmother, and all were very loving. So at a young age, I began to see women as people who would accept me, and men as people who would not accept me. And so that's kind of how I believe the Lord has shown me how my life turned towards being attracted to women at a very young age. I had never experienced normal feelings towards men. At a young age, I felt attractions to women. I guess it was because that filter made me feel like they were the only ones that would ever love me, that it would only ones that would ever accept me. So
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I when I met the Lord and started walking with Him, I started asking questions like we always do. Why was I that way? What happened? And I entertained the idea of being demon possessed, which definitely was a thing. I was demon possessed, but it had to start somewhere.
Well, what it boils down to, I think, is that we're born with a sin nature.
Absolutely. The Bible tells us that.
So, those types of desires and things like that, comes from that sin nature that we're literally born with.
Right. I wanted somebody. We always want somebody to blame, right? That's what they did in the garden. Adam and Eve, the first thing they do is they blamed God. I mean, Adam said it was the woman you gave me.
Yes.
So I immediately wanted to blame God. Either which way, it was God's fault. I even was convinced that God had created me that way. But so I knew it was wrong the way I felt because I grew up in church. My family was, Christian. They took me to church. My mama played the piano in church, and my grandmother was a Sunday school teacher. I was there for a VBS, every function they had. So I knew what the Bible said about gay people. But see, I'm 44, so back then, way back then, almost 40 years ago,
Late 1900s.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm ancient antique right here.